Hi, this is Jin, and welcome to Excel tutorial video. In this episode, I will demonstrate the one population Ztest for proportion. Please always remember the assumption for one population Ztest for proportion. Firstly, for normality of sampling proportion, the sample size n must be larger than 30, and np must be larger than 5. And n multiplied by 1 minus p must be larger than 5 for central limited theorem to hold. And secondly, a random sample is selected from population. These assumptions may be stated in the questions, or you may require to test these assumptions. We'll go through an example to see how to work out these sort of questions. In order to perform this test, we should use the data analysis plus function and select the Ztest proportion function and click OK. First, we should select our first variable and then enter the code for success. For this question, the code of success is 1, and then enter the hypothesized proportion. For this question, it is 0.105. Make sure you tick the label box appropriately. And finally, alpha. Alpha means the significance level of the test. For this question, it is 0.01. So everything is ready and click OK. And we got our result for the Ztest for proportion. Now, we will start to analyze the result. There are two ways to analyze the result. One is to use the critical value, and the second is to use the p-value. And we will start from the first way, using the critical value. Overall, there are three circumstances. Firstly, for a two-tailed test, the decision rule is to reject null hypothesis at significance level alpha if the absolute value of Z statistics is higher than the Z critical value for two-tailed test. In our case, the Z statistic is minus 2.4766 and the Z critical value for two-tailed test is 2.5758. So the absolute value for the Z statistic is smaller than the Z critical value for two-tailed test. So H0 is not rejected at 1% level of significance. For the second circumstances, for a one-tailed test, if the alternative hypothesis is the population proportion is higher than P0, the decision rule is to reject H0 at significance level alpha if the Z statistic is higher than the Z critical value for one-tailed test. In our case, Z statistic is negative 2.4766 and the Z critical value for one-tailed test is 2.3263. And apparently, the Z statistic is smaller than the Z critical value for one-tailed test. So H0 is not rejected at 1% level of significance. And finally, the third circumstances. For a one-tailed test, if the alternative hypothesis is the population proportion is smaller than P0, the decision rule is to reject H0 at significance level alpha if the Z statistic is smaller than negative Z critical value for one-tailed test. In our case, the Z statistic is minus 2.4766 and the negative Z critical value for one-tailed test is minus 2.3263. And it is absolutely that the Z statistic is smaller than the negative Z critical value for one-tailed test. so H0 is rejected at 1% level of significance. And we'll use the second method to solve this problem. And we'll use the p-value to solve the problem. It is much easier than the first method, which is the critical value method. Okay? For p-value method, as long as the p-value is smaller than the significance level alpha, then we'll draw the conclusion that H0 is rejected at alpha level of significance. And in the contrary, if the p-value is higher than or equal to the alpha level of significance, then H0 is not rejected at alpha level of significance. In our case, the p-value for one-tailed test is 0.0066, which is smaller than the level of significance, 0.01. So H0 is rejected at 1% level of significance. And for two-tailed test, the p-value is 0.0132, which is higher than 1% level of significance. So H0 is not rejected at 1% level of significance. And that's all for today's episode. Thanks for attention, and we will see you in the next episode.